for instance, how religion can inhibit female participation in politics. Now, the beliefs that people have and how they shape their behavior. You are in the realm of the cultural subsystem. When you are dealing with personality issues, you're in the realm of the psychological subsystem. When you're dealing with how issues of the environment condition behavior and affect affect human relations, such as, for instance, I'm sure you have heard that climate change has very serious consequences for human relations, and the herders-farmers conflict is traceable to the devastating consequences of climate change. Now, that shows that we also have a geographical subsystem. Now, what is interesting about the systems framework is that all of these subsystems are closely connected to one another. In fact, we say that they are mutually dependent, and they are also mutually reinforcing, in the sense that what happens in one subsystem affects what happens in other subsystems, as well as the system as a whole. So if we continue to have herders and farmers conflicts, it's going to affect the economy. It's going to affect the social subsystem in terms of what people learn, in terms of how people get to be socialized, in terms of the norms and values, and so on. So explanations of human behavior require more than just a focus on, say, the political relations or the economic factors and so on. So all of these things work together. There's a concept that you would find we have introduced, which you would like. It's called eclecticism. To be eclectic means to freely borrow. And because we're dealing with the same human being, we freely borrow from each other. So all the social sciences are interested in analyzing human behavior. And to get a complete picture, a complete explanation, a complete understanding of human behavior, you have to go beyond your discipline to borrow from other disciplines. So, for instance, an economist who is interested in why employment, is such a serious problem, would of necessity be interested in the authoritative allocation of values. The economist will say, for instance, why is it that government is not paying attention to issues of employment? Okay? Or somebody who is in sociology and is looking at issues of drug abuse would be interested in the kinds of policies, that government has, and so on. So we are all in this business together. Or for a political scientist, you want to explain voting behavior, we looked at our senator, who's a class rep a while ago. You would say people, win elections, on a number of conditions. One is, where do they come from? What's the ethnic origin? What's racial origin? How rich are they? Where do they live? Are they in the rural area or the urban area? These factors are not political in themselves. So that's what ties all the social sciences together. They all are interested in the study of human behavior, and they are related in that sense. So as you find data when we look at the behavioral revolution in political science, one of the goals is to have an integrated social science. So we can have a multidisciplinary situation. Now, I should take us back because there is something that I should emphasize when we're looking at the ingredients of a discipline. I'm sorry, I beg your pardon. Now, one of those ingredients, of course, is that a discipline should have subfields. Discipline, cannot look at all the subjects of interest to it under one. So it has subfields which are more specialized, areas of interest in discipline. And you will find that in political science, the subfields that we have of research specialization, of specialist knowledge and teaching, political theory, which takes us back to the days when politics was studied as part of political philosophy. It's essentially normative. We have public administration, or what some call public policy, or public policy analysis. There's international relations. We have country studies. We have comparative politics. And also we are beginning to have multidisciplinary subfields, which are also called hybrid subfields. Hybrid, as you know, are mixtures. They are mixtures of what happens in one field intersecting with what happens in another field. So we have political sociology, political economy, psychopolitics, political geography. Now, these are multidisciplinary hybrid disciplines that show the intersections between politics, the overlaps between politics, what we study in politics and what is studied in sociology and what is studied in economics, and how they relate one to the other. So, to get back to what we're doing. So all of these social science disciplines are very closely related, especially because now we have those that are multidisciplinary subfields and hybrid subfields, the ones we just talked about. It's not only that social sciences are interested in the same subject of human relations, even though they specialize in different aspects of human relations. Economists will be interested in economic relations, sociology in the social relations, anthropologists in the cultural relations, human geography in the environmental conditions, and how those ones shape human behavior, and psychology in basic issues of personality and how people imbibe their attitudes and shape them over time. In addition to a shared interest in human behavior, all the social sciences have also adopted the scientific method. The scientific method is a method that we have borrowed from the physical sciences. I'm sure that going to school, you would have studied a bit of chemistry, a bit of physics, and so on. You had laboratories and performed experiments. You became familiar with laws and theories. There is the Gay-Lussac's law. There is Boyle's law in chemistry. There's Charles' law. You would have seen the Faraday principle in physics. All of these things, are elements of the scientific method. Science basically is a method of study that is systematized, is systemic, it's not haphazard. It simply says we must have a new way of arriving at our conclusions. We should have ways of confirming our hypothesis, the things we believe, the things we suspect to be true. We must have ways of confirming them. We must deal with facts and not values. We must ensure that in all that we study, we're able to see what can be directly observed and measured, as opposed to what we think and how we judge situations. Those are evaluative and they are said to be normative. They are not scientific. But in addition, science has its own rules. It has its procedures for testing and retesting the kinds of generalizations that we have. That's why you go to a laboratory to perform experiments. Now, once you begin to talk like that, you have issues with how feasible science or scientific method would be for the social science that study human behavior is not something that can be studied in the laboratory. So that's a big challenge for our scientific method. We'll talk about it when we look at the feasibility or possibility of the true science or politics. Now, but all of these social sciences are doing this sense. Now, the structure of science, it relates very closely to its overall objective. What science tries to do is to explain and to predict. That's the purpose of science. That's the ultimate goal of science, to explain and to predict. And all scientific explanations take the form if X, then Y. Now, if X, then Y means that in order for Y to occur, in order for Y to happen, X should first have happened. It also means that wherever we see X, we expect to find Y. Now, that connection is both an explanation and a prediction. Now, this is the more interesting part. The X, which explains Y, is called the independent variable. The Y, which is explained by X, is called the dependent variable. So we have two sets of variables, the dependent variables and independent variables. And, the simple meaning, of the words that we use should tell you what they mean and where they stand. A dependent variable is a variable that cannot explain itself. It cannot stand on its own. It depends on another variable for explanation. An independent variable is one that can stand on its own. It doesn't depend on anything else. So if X then Y simply says X is the independent variable and Y is the dependent variable. What we want to explain is your dependent variable. What explains it is your independent variable. Now, very quickly then, all social sciences are of this kind. But this also helps us to differentiate, because now we are in the realm of saying, suppose political science shares all of these things in common, subject matter and methodology. How can we differentiate political science from the other social sciences? Remember that political science, as we started saying at the beginning, is a young discipline. And so people were concerned that if political scientists were not careful, the discipline could be overwhelmed and taken over by the stronger and older disciplines. Economics is older than political science. Sociology is older, and so on. Psychology certainly is an advanced science, social sciences. So how would you prevent or forestall or ensure that political science does not now become a subordinate discipline to these other advanced social sciences? How do we differentiate? The first way to differentiate is to say that political science has a distinct subject matter. And that distinct subject matter means that political science is not interested, for instance, in finding out issues of demand and supply. That's for economics. Political science is not interested in finding out, norms and values and how they, develop in society. Those ones belong to sociology. Although one must be careful to say that, as you find out later, these boundaries that we draw are becoming increasingly blurred, and they are eroding by the day. Political scientists are now interested in studying what economists only would have studied in the past. Sociologists are now interested in studying what economists and political scientists would have gathered as their own. But still, all issues that relate to power, to decision making, to conflict and consensus and so on are regarded as distinctly subjects of political science. The other way to differentiate